Implementing your vision in a local church setting, coming up on the Better Sundays podcast. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Greetings. Mike Holmes here. Welcome to you. Good to have you here at our podcast here on YouTube as well as on our regular podcast channels, wherever you find that. I'm glad you're here joining us for our leadership series. We're in season number 5. We're in episode number 3, and we are talking about vision. You know, vision is one of those very, very important things, and we wanted to start the leadership podcast with that. Vision is that ability or that capacity to take your preferred future, the things that you're looking at, and turn those into reality. What you see out there becomes real. And with leaders, that's always what needs to happen. We lead people, and of course we manage things. But as a local church person, you'll have some things that you manage. You have schedules and times and facilities and classrooms and children and people and, things of that nature. But you also have to be a leader. And one of the essentials of being a leader is making sure that you are ready to go with your vision and that you're up and running. So today we have several things to continue on in our vision series. If you've not caught the first 2 podcasts, you can go back in the format wherever you're looking at them and find those. We talked about is it vision biblical or not? And then, of course, we talked just about the whole concepts of vision and mission and some of those things. But today we're talking about this implementing your vision and your mission and all that. Again, I wrote this down, that leadership is that ability to translate or the capacity to translate your vision into reality, to make it really happen. And so that's what we're really focusing on today. So anyway, welcome aboard. If you're not here, or if you're here, if you're not here, of course, you wouldn't be listening. But if you're here, all right, I'm Mike Holmes, senior pastor, actually founding pastor at Sinclair Baptist Church. And as you can tell, I am not in my studio today. I am at a remote location. We'll just leave it at that right now. And excited to be able to record this wherever I am around the world, thanks to technology and laptops and some of that. You should be watching this on YouTube, or you should be listening to this on Spotify or Buzzsprout or whatever you use. And we appreciate those of you that are doing that. When you're there and you hear something good, if you hit the thumbs up button, that is always a great deal. So take a moment when you're hearing something that makes sense to you, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, I think it's called in some places, and subscribe if you've not done that. So let's just jump right into things. Got a lot of notes here today on implementing or making it work. And again, this is in a local church setting. Those of you that are involved in the daily Sunday vision. I mean, boom. It just kind of keeps coming those Sundays. And I want to give you a couple things at the beginning, then give you sort of the nuts and bolts here a little bit more towards the end. So number 1, your vision should be well-defined with good objective goals. In other words, things that are not subjective, things that are very good, and your vision should be well-defined. And this is something that is, of course, done ahead of time. This is not done. We're going to talk about implementing, which is with your people and in the pulpit and standing there with them. But before time, you have to have things ready to go. Okay, as much as possible, come up with objective, clear things that you are trying to do. If you're saying, "Hey, I just want to reach the world," or something, it's like that's good. I'm glad for you, but you'll not be able to cast that vision as easy as if you say, "Hey, we have a community and we're trying to reach the young moms and dads of this community, or we're trying to reach everybody on the north side of this line or this neighborhood, or we're trying to run a Sunday school program that enhances and brings more kids in the first grade through 6th grade range." It gives people a little bit more focus when they are able. And I tell you what, your people are looking for things to focus on. They're looking for a target, and you and I as the leaders are responsible for creating that target and pointing them towards it so that they can hit it. People love to work towards concrete goals. So make sure that you have a well-defined, and objective goals as much as considerably possible there. The second thing is make sure that you have kind of calendared the progression of your vision. In other words, it's like, I want to reach, all the first graders through such and such, but you don't put a deadline on it, or you don't say this year, or you don't say by Easter, or you don't say, by fall time, we'd like to, kind of do this particular thing. Again, it takes away, it makes it sort of ambiguous. So you want to make sure that you've calendared the targets as much as possible, and understand that you don't always know this. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because sometimes your vision has to be presented first to some leadership people, and then kind of progress your way to the broader group, and there may be some tweaks and some changes in there that you need to make. But the idea is that you would have a calendared level of progression. You're going to move forward with your vision at this level, at this level, at this level. And you probably have seen these in fancier visions in bigger churches or other places where they have like a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You may not name it that way. You may not have it, officially categorized, but you're kind of like, hey, I'd like to really get this vision out to everybody within the next month. I would like to, from there start to implement this first part. And by this time, I'd like to have this many volunteers in place to kind of move ahead at this direction. And we would like to have by September, we'd like to have by December, Christmas, Easter, whatever your goals are, a certain thing accomplished. So this is the idea of calendaring your progression, your conclusions, calendaring your presentation when you're going to do that, calendaring some of the meetings. And again, and I mentioned this, this is the whole idea on the calendar thing, is you've got to get buy-in on a vision. If you're sharing your vision, you usually don't just cold turkey stand up in front of the whole crowd, especially if you're a local church and you're the pastor and you're the senior pastor. You don't necessarily stand up in front of the whole crowd at once and do everything right there. You're probably going to talk to some of your confidants, your closer people. Depends how your leadership system works in your church there. We have like an executive team, or you might have deacons, or you might have, L team type stuff, people where you're meeting with leadership people. And you want to kind of throw some of that out, because they're going to have to buy in, and then they're going to have to take it down to their people as well. So you need to take your leadership and your vision, and you need to kind of get it. It goes to the smallest number first. Then you're going to take it to another group of people. And one of the things I always like to do is make sure that when I was presenting something, that of course my leadership people are on board, and financially, and make sure you're calendared. You're not bumping up against other massive type of problems that would calendar wise that would mess you up. But also you want to try to get your kind of your next level down, like your director type people who are kind of hands on with people. You want to sit down with them ahead of time if possible and share some of that vision. So when you go to the whole body and you're sharing this with a larger group, that you've already got people kind of, so in a way saying amen. They're kind of with you. They're kind of moving ahead with you. So that's the idea of the progression. When you calendar your progression, a lot of it has to do with your meetings and who you're going to be kind of working with. And then that takes you to the big step of the kind of the presenting your vision, excuse me, to the entire congregation. And this is kind of where a lot of people talk about when they talk about implementing vision. So I want to spend just a little bit of time with you on that, kind of giving you some of the things that I've done, things that I have learned in the past. So now you are getting ready to present your vision at a big meeting, and it's like a big meeting. I mean, there's a lot of people there, and they know that they're coming to hear your vision. And of course, some people have like, hey, it's Vision Sunday or Vision in this year. Or we're going to give you the big Vision Day, and we have a meeting. Sometimes you do a special banquet. Always think of Esther when she had to present the things to the king, about the whole Mordecai Haman kind of deal, and she kind of like built it up and sort of had a banquet. And I think those are good ideas. You get people kind of anticipating, and they're ready to listen. They're ready to dive in. The way I would do it always would be with like a Bible message. In other words, I'd go back to my core values, which are biblical, and I say we are going to reach out with missions in this way. And I would have a message on missions, and then in that message, as a piece of that message, I would have the application be the vision portion that I want to share. I would have these challenges that would be sprinkled kind of throughout there, and I would talk about sort of my expected ideas and growth or whatever. So say you're talking about missions. Let's just do that one real quick. You have a vision of that you want to really get your people very involved in missions financially. You want them to get them involved prayer. You want to get them involved like socially, where they're communicating regularly with the missionaries and supporting and encouraging them. And then you want to, perhaps even get your people physically on missions, short-term mission fields, or even ultimately going to missions. All of those kind of things. So it would start with some type of Bible message, and then you would start to kind of talk about what you would expect there. It's like, boy, wouldn't it be great? If we sometimes we supported 15 missionaries, or 20, or whatever your number is that you're kind of visioning out there. That if we could give them X number of dollars, and you kind of talk about, when we get to the point where we have tens of thousands of dollars going into missions, that is going to be great. My goal is we're going to have $10,000 a month that is going into a missions program. And some of that, wouldn't it be great then if some of that we could use the funding and you folks, and we would actually go to the mission field. You see, you kind of, build that in there and talk about that. So that's the idea. You have a Bible message, and you kind of put the growth in there and the things that you plan for. Another thing that I always do, or you might want to do in yours, is use kind of history to move to the future. Vision, by definition, is out there, okay? It hasn't happened yet. History, by definition, is back there. It already happened. So you want to move from what you've done into where you want to go. So it is a great way to, say, we did this in the past, and we did this, and we did this, and X number, much of say it's an evangelism thing. Over the last year, we have been out, and we have knocked on X number of doors, and we were at the county fair, and we did this, and we did this, and it was so great to be able to tell people about the Lord. And right now, we are currently have fruit from that. We have people sitting in this building that came from those ministries, and we are continuing to do that. But I have a plan for the future, and here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have 4 major outreach events this summer where we go into the community and do stuff, where we go to the county fair, where we go into our local parades and do some stuff, where we reach out to individuals at their doorstep. And that is my vision, that we do that. So let me tell you about where I think we need to go. But you started with history, and you moved into the future. So that's just sort of a technique, a great way to kind of do that, to go that direction. And then one more thing, well, actually more than one more thing, a couple more things here, is you use your core values to move to core impact. For example, at our church, one of our core values is community engagement, okay? And it's something we talk about all the time. So it's like, I would say, we really believe in community engagement. And because of this verse, and you go through and talk about, the book of Acts verses, or whatever your verses are on community engagement. And because of what our belief is here, we want it to come out our hands here. We don't want it to be just here. We want it to move out. And so we would like to go out into the community and do XYZ. And you share your vision from that, but it comes from your core value that of course is started from your Bible message. You can kind of see all this ties together. So basically you're sharing a vision, and that vision goes right back to the values you've already established for your church that have been established by your adherence to being a New Testament local church. So you kind of move right from your stable ground out to the kind of the sketchy ground, because when you share your vision, believe me, it is sketchy. You say, hey, I'd like to, let's do 2 missions trips this year where we send people stateside to do a missions project, and we would like to send some of our people overseas. Okay, out to the highways and hedges. We're going to go way across the ocean, and we're going to go to Ireland, and we're going to help missionary XYZ. We're going to help him do some stuff, and I think that we can do it. We can raise some money. We can do it. But you're really kind of you're going all the way back to Acts 1:8, that you'll receive power and be witnesses to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, uttermost part of the earth. You're going to be, and basically you're going back to that value. So you go back to your core values when you're sharing your thing, because core values need to result in core impact and impacting in that particular the particular area. So last couple things, I'll give you a couple tools here that I have that have to do with this. This idea is for you as the leader, okay? And some of you I know are watching this as youth leaders or Sunday school people. You're not all pastors at this thing, but it is the idea of having this vision and kind of having this preferred future out there where you want to go, and that you are actually kind of dreaming out loud. That's sort of a term I learned long ago, where you start to dream out loud. And I'll tell you what, once you present all this and you give them a biblical message, and you have these principles that, move into you're moving people into principles, doing the principles. And by the way, it's when you're doing some of that, another little sort of thing I learned is, and this is sort of the core value thing, you have principles. You teach them a principle, you talk about a program, and then you enlist people, okay? So the people are going to run a program that is based on a principle. And this is the idea that you're dreaming. You say, we have this principle that we want to do. And let's talk about another one. Let's do food ministry, okay? So you want to be involved in supporting your community, helping out with food ministry. You're going to use that to reach people. You're going to use that to kind of mobilize your volunteers. You're going to use that to help in a lot of different ways. And so what you do is you say, there's this principle that we want to do good unto other people. And we want to use those things to be a blessing. And Jesus often, helped people with food and helped them with things so that then he could minister to their soul. And we want to do that. And so we have this program. It's called 24/7 Food. Okay, great name of a program. Huh? Food 27. There we go. Food 24/7. All right. We want to have food available 24/7 and be able to help people that are needy and be able to take them to a box anytime. So we were going to then need some people to pack those boxes and people to go to the distribution center and get those boxes. And then we're going to need some people to take those boxes out, because we will have a hotline that people will call, and we're going to give them food. We're going to help them. And then we're going to have those people trained in presenting the gospel, and we're going to talk to people about the Lord through that ministry. So it's a principle that goes to a program that goes to a people. Okay, so people run a program that is based on a principle. So all of that is part of this dreaming out loud. That wouldn't it be cool? And then you start with wouldn't it be cool if our church got a phone call, late on a Friday night, and there was a family that was broke down, or there's a family in tremendous need, and a lot of times phone calls just go to voicemail. But we had someone that answered the phone, and they said, yes, we are here. And yes, where's your address? And we will come help you. And they were able to go get some boxes that were prepackaged by these other people. And they were all ready to go. And they were able to take these food boxes and go out to this family and not only give them food, but spend time talking to them about their spiritual needs and trying to win them to Christ. Wouldn't that be cool? So Sunday morning comes, and you come to church, and everyone on the staff is running around all excited. And you're thinking, why are they all excited? And then the word starts to spread that we had a family that was saved through the food ministry. And when we sing, God, how great thou art, God, okay, on Sunday morning, we're singing it to a great God that reached some people through a food ministry because we had a plan. Wouldn't that be great to be able to do that? You see, that is sharing a vision and sharing your dream. Wouldn't it be, it would just blow my mind to be able to see, this room here filled with teenagers. I mean, imagine that we have so many teenagers in this room that we have to buy some more chairs. Imagine that we have so many teenagers that we run out of pizza. Imagine that we have so many teenagers that we've got to get more workers to come in here, and that we have teenagers. And I'm talking about these teens, middle school and high school kids in our community that are coming to know the Lord, and they're learning about God. They're going to be able to have God with them through their entire life. where some of you didn't come to know the Lord till you were a little bit older in life. Wouldn't have been great if you were saved as a teenager. Well, that's what we're going to see. That's what we want to see. Wouldn't that be awesome? And so that is the idea, okay, of sharing a vision and kind of the idea of the dream out loud thing. Now, a couple little, finally, okay, as all sermons end with finally, a couple little tools and devices. Number one, you're going to be highly involved with a calendar. If you are a vision person, you will be involved with a calendar. Make sure you have a good either paper calendar or Google calendar, some type of thing where you're able to write things down and a lot of times they're in pencil at first, and then they kind of go from there. You're going to be highly involved with some type of graphics because people love to see. So like if it was the 24/7 food, you'd have a big 247 and a food word or something, and you would have pictures of food, and you make a little graphic, but when you hand things out, it's got that little graphic on it. And some of these, you can go to Google Images. You go to a lot of different places. We use a place with a lot of good photography, a thing called unsplash.com. You can go to pexels.com and find a lot of good photography type images. And then you can, of course, in Google type in like food and the word line art, okay, because that's what black and white art's called, ink type drawings, food line art, and you'll get all sorts of hamburger line art, okay, and you'll get the most amazing picture of a hamburger that you've ever seen, hundreds of them, in fact. So do that. So you're going to be highly involved with the calendar, highly involved with graphics. You're going to be highly involved with some type of digital stuff. And I know this gets a little scary, but your website's going to need to have some of these things on it. Lord willing, you can get in there and make your website. You're going to email out this logo is going to be there. And then you're also going to, as people inquire about your vision, you're going to have more details. You will never get all the details shared during the sermon of how to actually work. So you want a lot of that printed, and then you email that to them after the service. If you're interested in our vision today, please go to so-and-so and sign up. They're gonna email you some stuff. They'll get your email address. We'll have that in your email address, your inbox by 2 o'clock this afternoon. However you want to do that. We use connection cards. That's a whole other thing. And if you don't use connection cards, you need to. That's a great thing. And then one other thing you're going to have is if you're going to have vision, you have a lot of meetings. Now, these are not meetings with necessarily your governing type people. A lot of churches, their main meetings with the pastor is the governing, where you're like talking about big budget and big decisions and, personnel issues and some of that. You're going to have meetings at lower levels. You're going to meet with the hands-on people, like the food. Say you do the food ministry, you're going to be meeting with the people about how you want food boxes packed and distributed, and someone's meeting with them. You as the senior pastor may not be the person doing that, but you'll be meeting with someone and telling them where your vision is going. So remember that. A lot of calendar, a lot of graphics, a lot of digital stuff, which would be email, websites, etc., and a lot of meetings, okay? And when you do all this, you end up with a what we call a full buy-in. I mean, people are not kind of like, not quite sure exactly what he was talking about, okay? They've got it clear because you've painted this picture for them. So this is implementing a vision in a local church ministry. And we want you to grab hold of this because we want your local church to thrive and to prosper and to be the best it can absolutely be. And so next week, we're going to be covering the idea of making your vision sticky. And that is sticky because lots of times, say you present this at the first of the year and you're all fired up and everyone's all fired up. There needs to be fire in the belly, in February, March, April, May. And there needs to be real fire in the belly when it keeps going, August, September, October. How do you make your vision last and become sticky and go all the way? So anyway, implementing vision in a local church setting. I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, do me a favor right now. Get the old thumbs up button going there. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on your, however you're listening to this. And then, of course, if you'd like to share this, if this is helpful, if you know some pastors or some church leaders that need some type of motivation and ideas like this, please share this podcast, and I appreciate that very much. So from me to you, we are here for you. We love you guys, and it's a blessing to be able to serve you in this capacity, doing these training videos. I am excited about next week's video, and then from there, we're going to move into some more leadership things. So stick with us here on season 5 in our leadership podcast here on the Better Sundays podcast. So this is Mr. Mike signing out. God bless. We will see you next week. Take care.